Saiyan Rose Goku Black.
Many years had passed since the friends and family of the Saiyan had died. Only he remained, alongside Vegeta, who became the god of destruction of Universe 7. Goku still had a lot of time after all. The ancient Kaishin gave his life. Goku was in a meadow, while he thought about some things. It has been 437 years since my friends died, but the good thing is that I still have descendants on this planet. The bad thing is that their Saiyan blood is so diminished that I believe they can't transform anymore. Our Saiyan said with disappointment, I would like a new adventure in my life, like in the old times. The Saiyan lay down on the grass and began to remember his childhood adventures. I would do anything to have a new adventure, even wait billions of years or in countless amount of time. Goku said excitedly. But the Saiyan was even more disappointed to learn that this would not happen, since all the evil beings from his universe and the entire multiverse were defeated by him, or by his friends from other universes. The Saiyan was about to start sleeping in that place, but a familiar voice could be heard there. You said you were going to wait an uncountable amount of time to have an adventure, right, son Goku? Said the mysterious person. Goku was surprised by the sudden appearance of that person and quickly said, Mr. Daishinkan, what are you doing here? Daishinkan looked at the Saiyan with a smile and calmly replied, I just came to inform you that the king of everything needs your presence. Goku was a little surprised to hear that, but he still asked the reason why his friend wanted him at the palace at all. Daishinkan, upon hearing the question, simply replied, it's something that will interest him, and it also has to do with what he said. Daishinkan said neutrally but with a smile. Goku started to think about what he said, before asking, are you referring to an uncountable amount of time, right? Goku said, well aware that he didn't say anything more interesting than that's right, Goku, but I'm surprised you guessed it. Daishinkan said, a little surprised. Well, living for so long made me understand many of my weaknesses, Goku said to Daishinkan. Upon hearing this, Daishinkan became a bit interested and asked about it. And what would those weaknesses be that you noticed, Goku? The Grand Priest asked with one hand on his chin, thinking about all the weaknesses of the Saiyan. Well, he was very immature, along with being very overconfident when it came to fighting, and my desire to fight can affect many. Our Saiyan used to say this with great wisdom. Well, that will change a bit when he comes out. Wow, you surprise me more and more, son Goku. Daishinkan said with his eyes slightly opened upon seeing that Goku finally noticed after 400 years. Well then, shall we go to the little Zens? The Saiyan asked. Well, he's right. It's time to go, Goku said the Grand Priest. Goku nodded, and then the two of them disappeared from the place. Thus, the two left the place. A little later, in the palace of the kings of all. One could see the two kings of all sitting on their thrones, waiting for the arrival of their best friend. And they didn't have to wait any longer, as the Saiyan alongside the Grand Priest appeared. Here I bring you son Goku, the High Priest said. Thus, Goku walked to where the two kings of the whole were. What is it that would interest me, little Zens? Curious Saiyan asks. First, we need to give you some information before getting to the main point. One of the two Zenin said. And what kind of information do I need to know? Goku asked, still confused about why they called him. What you need to know is that we are not the only existing multiverse. The Saiyan, upon hearing that, could only make a face of total confusion. He would barely be new to what he was about to hear. What do you mean, little Zen? Isn't there only this multiverse? But as always, the doubts of the Saiyan were answered by the Grand Priest. To be more exact, Goku, we are in an omniverse. When Goku heard that, his confused expression changed to one of total astonishment, and a shout of complete surprise could be heard throughout the palace. The shout was so loud that it stunned the guards of the two little Zens, and Omniverse. When Goku said that, he had many expressions of surprise. This information had opened a door to billions of adventures. The two little Zen only laughed at their friend's reaction. Haha, you never change, Goku, even after hundreds of years have passed. You never stop making us laugh, Goku. It was what one of the Xenos said. Goku, who had finally calmed down, also started to laugh upon seeing that what his friend said was a little true. Well, putting that aside, we will explain to you what an omniverse is. Goku, upon hearing that, made a face of total concentration. He knew that what was coming next was going to be important. In an omniverse, there are billions of multiverses, and each of those multiverses has a king or queen of everything. But there are exceptions, such as the possibility of having two kings of everything in one multiverse. Said one of the two Xenos. And all those kings of the whole are governed by the omniversal God, along with the gods of the whole, which we could say are the second highest authorities in the omniverse, just below the omniversal God. Goku, upon hearing all this, was simply marveling at all those beings. The Saiyan blood that had been dormant in Goku began to stir with excitement. But the Saiyan had a doubt, and was going to ask his little friend, "But what does that have to do with me?" Goku said while looking confused at the two little Zens. "Well, we have a task for you, Goku." One of the little Zens said while smiling, and who was Zen-chan, asked a confused Saiyan. "The task is for you to be the guardian of the entirety of this omniverse that we are in," said the other one of little Zen. Goku, upon hearing that, was even more confused, and you can't refuse, since these are direct orders from the omniversal God. The high priest said while looking at the Saiyan. Goku was already confused and lost with what was said. Daishinkan sighed. Even though the Saiyan had matured and learned some things, he was still a bit stupid in many of them. So Daishinkan simply told him to help you understand faster, Goku, I will give you the information on the subject. Thus, Daishinkan placed his hand on the head of the Saiyan, passing on all the information he needed to know. Goku, after receiving all that information, was left in shock, knowing what he had to do as the guardian of all. "Do you already know what you have to do?" a somewhat doubtful Daishinkan asked upon seeing the Saiyan. Goku replied, nodding his head, and said, "To summarize that information, I have to be locked in a special room made by the omniversal God, correct? And what?" But Daishinkan was interrupted by the Saiyan. "And it will only open when the omniverse is in danger, and the omniversal God cannot help in the slightest, although he was the one who made it come out," Goku said as if he had read a lecture. "Wow, Goku, you took the words out of my mouth," said the Grand Priest, a bit surprised. "But as always, there were some complaints about what I would have to do that will be very, very boring, being locked up for so long without being able to go out and see my friends in the other world." The Saiyan sighed when he said that, "But well, at least when I leave, I won't have to go back into that room. Although who knows how long I will be locked up there." That was the last thing Goku said before his two friends celebrated. "Yay! Our friend will become stronger than ever." Goku, upon seeing that, just smiled at how the kings of everything celebrated because he would become strong. But they were interrupted by Daishinkan. "Son Goku, follow me. We will go outside to set up the portal to the special room." Upon hearing what the great priest said, Goku nodded his head. Thus, everyone present went outside the castle. When Daishinkan opened the portal, an incredibly enormous pressure was felt. "This pressure is immense," said the Saiyan with difficulty speaking. Goku was on the ground trying to get up. "Before you enter, Goku, the kings of everything will grant you immortality along with a gigantic amount of information for you to train, learn, and enhance your powers." Said Daishinkan, looking at the Saiyan on the ground. Goku stood up with difficulty. but only to receive a lightning bolt that caused the Saiyan to receive an exaggerated amount of information and also made him younger, like a 20-year-old person. Goku fell to the ground due to the headache he had. The kings of all were frightened because their friend was suffering, so they quickly used their powers to help Goku bear all that information. Thus, the Saiyan stood up feeling a bit nauseous from what had happened. "Are you okay, Goku?" asked the two little Zens, very worried about their friend. "I'm fine, just a little dizzy," Goku said as if he were drunk. The two kings were relieved to see that their friend was already well. Narrator: yes, of course, he is not well at all. With this information, my powers will increase in exaggerated ways, Goku thought while smiling happily about it. One more thing. Inside the room 10 million years would pass, while out here only one day would pass, and you don't have to worry about food. There is an infinite supply of food inside. Goku was not surprised by what the Grand Priest said. That part was also included in all the information he was given. "Now that you know everything necessary, you can enter now," said Shinken to just give the Saiyan passage. Goku nodded to what was said, but before entering, he said goodbye to the kings altogether along with the Grand Priest. Inside the special room, the portal had already closed, and a Saiyan was suffering on the floor of the room. Let's start with this hellish training," a smiling Goku said as he tried to push himself to stand up. Thus, throughout all the multiverses, the information spread that the guardian of the whole had been chosen. But hundreds, thousands, millions of years went by since it was known about him, as no one knew what he was like or who he was, to the point of becoming a legend among the kings and gods of everything. In a distant multiverse, in a temple where there were two kings in total. There were two girls who were running towards their parents. Both girls had blue hair. Dad. One of the two blue-haired girls shouted, "Come here, my little Thali." The father now lifted the one called Thali and sat her in his hand. And the other girl went to where her mom. "Mom." The other girl called out tenderly, "Ha ha ha, you are very adorable, Miku, when you call me that, Miku." The mother stroked the little girl and she enjoyed it. But that family moment was interrupted by a question posed by one of the two girls. "Dad, can you tell me that legend again?" Thali asked very excitedly, with starry eyes. But the father didn't know whether to accept or not. "Yes, Dad. Tell us the legend of the guardian of everything again," Mika said excitedly as well. The mother, who saw the two little girls excited, said, "Do it, dear, otherwise they won't be able to sleep, but I also like that legend." The father, upon hearing that from his wife, had no choice but to accept it, being 3 against 1. Okay, I will tell you the legend of the guardian of everything." The two little girls celebrated upon hearing that their father was going to tell them the legend, while the mother only smiled at seeing her daughters happy. The father only smiled at seeing his daughters happy. For them, they were everything, and so were they for his wife. "Well, girls, this is how the legend begins. When the omniverse is plunged into chaos and all existence has come to an end, the guardian will appear with a power that is beyond imagination and a divinity that will cover the omniverse with immense joy and pleasure, knowing that the guardian of all has appeared. But when I finished and saw the girls, they were sleeping on their mother's legs. The wife and mother of his two little daughters was smiling at him, only to then say, 'Oh darling, I didn't know you told legends in such a perfect way.' The father just smiled at what was said and at the same time blushed a little when he heard a compliment from his wife. I would do everything perfectly for our little and adorable daughters." The father said this while stroking one of their hair. "They will become great queens of everything when they grow up. I can't wait for the day," said the mother while stroking the hair of her other daughter. The father, upon hearing his wife say that, could only tell her, I hope so too.
In a dimension that no one can enter, there was a person, a being, a deity known as a legend, the one who would save the omniverse from chaos and bring peace to all that exists, the warrior who was chosen to become a supreme god. His name is unknown to many, and very few truly know who he really is. The person who was chosen as the guardian of everything, Son Goku. It has been decillions of years since I have been in here, and during all that time, my powers have increased in unimaginable ways. My power reached such a point that this dimension was nothing, thought the Saiyan as he walked through the dimension. I wonder how Vegeta is doing. Is he still a god of destruction, or has he retired? The Saiyan saying that felt nostalgic, remembering those times. How I wish I could have a fight against him again. I bet he got much stronger in these millions of years that I haven't seen him, said a very excited Saiyan, thinking about how strong his rival would be right now. But quickly his joy disappeared when he remembered that he could not leave that dimension. And with a tone of disappointment, he said, "Well, I'll have to wait for the day I get out of here. In the meantime, I'll be training my forms." And so the Saiyan began training to forget what he said. But what the Saiyan didn't know was that something was going to happen very soon. Meanwhile, in a multiverse, more specifically in the palace of the King of Everything, you could see how two girls were training while one person was giving directions to the two. "Come on, insects, can't you handle that tiny weight?" said a very proud person and well known to all. "But he tripled our weight, Master Vegeta," said a tired Chothali. "It's true, we barely got used to the previous ones, and now he triples the weight?" Miku said, complaining and tired. "Shut up! If you want to be queens of everything, you'll have to do those trainings. Or don't you want to be as strong as me?" said an angry Vegeta, but proud of how strong he was. "Yes, but I don't think we can be as strong as you, Master Vegeta," said a Miku, knowing very well that it would be impossible. "My sister is right, you are already too strong. You are even considered one of the strongest kings in the entire Omniverse," said Chothali, trying to reason with the Saiyan Prince. "Don't say nonsense. I still need to surpass many kings of everything, along with the gods of everything. And also Kakarot's bug." A determined Vegeta said he wanted to surpass all those people. "Now that you mention it, Master Vegeta, who is Kakarot?" I asked a confused Miku. Vegeta crossed his arms and replied, "Kakarot is my eternal rival." Chothali, upon hearing that, asked, "Is he also a king of everything?" Vegeta smiled and asked the two of them, "Do you know the legend of the guardian of everything?" Both of them nodded at Vegeta's question. "Yes, we know it. It's a very well-known legend throughout the Omniverse. But why do you ask, Master Vegeta?" Miku said, "You're welcome, but do you know the name of the guardian of everything?" Vegeta asked to see if they knew. "The legend never mentioned his name," said Chothali, trying to remember if his name was mentioned. "So you don't know. Apparently the legend forgot your name, Kakarot." Vegeta thought, mocking his rival. Vegeta started laughing when he saw that his rival's name was completely forgotten. But he was pulled out of his thoughts by a question. "Do you know your name, Master Vegeta?" asked a curious Miku. Vegeta crossed his arms and replied, "I know your name, brat," said Vegeta. The girls, upon hearing the answer, were intrigued and asked Vegeta what his name was. The two girls liked that legend because it was a story about a mortal who went through many things, but all of that led him to become a deity. "His name is Son Goku." Vegeta said simply, "It's Goku." The two blue-haired girls said it at the same time. "That's the name of the guardian of everything," Vegeta said. "And how do you know that is his name?" Miku asked, now very curious. "Because Son Goku is Kakarot," Vegeta said as if it were very obvious. The two girls were shocked to hear that their master's only eternal rival is the guardian of everything. "Wait, no, is it just a legend?" said a Chothali, surprised by such a revelation. "It's not a legend as you say. Kakaroto was the weakest low-class warrior of all, but he became the strongest mortal in my native multiverse," he said, a slightly proud Vegeta about how far his rival had come. "That's what the legend says. But the legend also says that he is a kind, gentle, good-hearted, and very affectionate person, right? I ask a curious Chothali, as I recall that part of the legend. Yes, exactly as you said, Insect. That personality made him become the best friend of the king of all, of my home multiverse. Vegeta said, remembering what happened in that era. The girls, upon hearing that, were surprised. Wow, it was the only thing they could say. The two of them began to admire the Guardian more, but they also began to think about how he looked and how they would act if he appeared. Vegeta, who saw that they were very distracted in their thoughts and not training, gave them a shout that scared them a lot. "Start training, brats!" I shouted, an angry Vegeta, while looking at the girls. "Yes," shouted the two blue-haired girls. "That's the dimension of the Guardian." Goku was in Ultra Instinct Phase 4. The power emanating from the Saiyan was immense, so much power that there were traces of energy throughout the dimension, but that was not his ultimate transformation. "I will try to use the Kaioken in this phase," thought the Saiyan before letting out a great war cry and saying, "Kaioken for 1000! A gigantic red aura completely covered the Saiyan. An aggressive power and a calm power had combined into one. "I did it!" shouted the Saiyan with joy. "It seems he has mastered the Kaioken perfectly. They no longer hurt me as much in my transformations," thought the Saiyan while looking at his body. Note, the limit of the Kaioken will be 1000. After that, Goku transformed back and went to eat, since using so much concentration made him hungry. Goku, while eating, began to think about something specific. "My tail came back when I released the Ultra Instinct Phase 2 that time. I wonder why that happened." Well, it doesn't matter. At least I gained more power thanks to the tail. And so the Saiyan kept eating without caring about the matter anymore. Meanwhile, at Vegeta's palace, a confrontation between two girls and a prince could be seen. "Come on, insects, you still haven't handled that tiny weight?" said Vegeta, mocking his students. Vegeta had transformed into Super Saiyan Blue Phase 2. "He's too powerful," said a frustrated Miku, unable to land a hit on the Saiyan. "I wonder how Son Goku was able to fight on par with Master Vegeta," said a Chothali while trying to strike Vegeta. Vegeta, who was standing with his arms crossed and dodging the attacks from Miku and Chothali, was able to hear the question. For him, it was time to answer. "He was able to fight against me thanks to his immense will and fighting spirit." "What do you mean, Master Vegeta?" Miku asked, who was also trying to land a blow on Vegeta. Even if he was seriously injured or thrown to the ground, he would always get back up, no matter how he felt, to the point of sacrificing himself for the entire universe. Vegeta said, and after a kick sent the two girls to the ground, and with a piercing voice pointing at them, he said, "That's what you girls should have if you want to become stronger." The two, upon seeing that their teacher was scolding them, stood up and with all their strength went to attack him. "That's the spirit, insects!" he shouted, a happy Vegeta when he saw that his students finally got their act together. And so, on that day, they didn't stop training, and that is how they trained for several weeks. Miku and Chothali increased their powers, and Vegeta was telling them more about Goku. But one day arrived, a day when the Omniverse was in danger. Many of the kings of the whole were warned. Among them was Vegeta. "What's wrong, Master Vegeta?" The two little blue ones said worriedly. "Look over there," said Vegeta, pointing in a certain direction. The two focused on the place where their teacher pointed, only to feel an overwhelming presence, a dark presence that far surpasses any king of the world they have known. His power is gigantic." A terrified Miku said this to her teacher. "You can only feel pure evil from that being." A scared Chothali said this to her teacher. "I don't think even all the kings of this whole sector can take him on." Wow! The two girls shouted in fear and surprise upon hearing that from their teacher. Well, after a while, many kings from everywhere arrived where that power was felt. "Wow, it seems my dinner has arrived," said the person who radiated the enormous evil power. "And you, who or what are you?" said one of the kings of all things very seriously. The subject or being, upon hearing that question, could only begin to laugh. "Ha ha ha ha! What is so funny?" shouted the king of all things. The being stopped laughing just to speak. Nothing, just that I was amused that an inferior being has the right to ask me that. But since they are all going to die anyway, I will answer your insignificant question. I was formed by the fusion of many kings of everything who desired power, along with absorbing the evil of millions of multiverses. I am perfection. I am unparalleled. I am the only one who can be the supreme God of all that is known. All the kings of everything, upon hearing what that being said, could only feel hatred and anger when listening to such stupidity. You fucking wretch, do you want the Guardian to appear to destroy you?
I am only the one in charge of bringing peace to this entire omniverse and destroying all the scum that bothers it. And as the guardian of all that I am, I will give you your deserved punishment, said the Saiyan in a terrifying manner as a smile formed on his face and the power emanating from him increased as if it had no end. No one could believe it, that the legend of millions of years truly existed and was now in front of them. The only thing they could do was be amazed. Seriously, is that really the guardian of everything? His power is in a whole different league. Could it be that he is here? Seriously, he wasn't just a legend? We are in front of the being that surpasses all the gods. All of that was said by many of the kings who were fully present. Meanwhile, on the part of the queens who were there, how handsome! Marry me! I want a child of yours! I want him in bed now! Many of the queens would say everything upon seeing the Saiyan's appearance, so masculine and serious. For now with the Saiyan and Zai, don't mess with me. In all these millions of years that have passed, you never showed up. But you have to show up just when I'm about to rule all of existence. You were just a damn legend, a simple legend. Zai was screaming in fury upon seeing that everything he had planned was going to be ruined by the arrival of the Saiyan. Goku just looked at Zai without showing any emotion, and then said, "Do you perhaps forget why I am here?" Zai, upon hearing what the Saiyan said, instantly remembered the requirements to bring him. Apparently, your stupid head could remember. I'll only show up when someone like you, a trash that needs to be removed, is causing chaos in the Omniverse, and no one can stop you. He began to tremble. He knew he had dug his own grave, but because of his arrogance, sense of superiority, and immense stupidity, he went to attack the Saiyan with everything he had without any sense. The Saiyan only felt those blows as a gentle massage from a baby. But those attacks were sending the Saiyan flying and crashing into many planets. Zai, thinking that he was beating her, began to laugh like crazy and shout stupid things. "You're nobody. You're just a scumbag. You insignificant piece of shit. Look how I already put you on the ground. That legend of yours is a complete lie. Your power is insignificant compared to my great and enormous power." At this point, Zai had already lost all the sanity he had, and his ego had grown tremendously. Everyone present was surprised at how Zai dared to insult one of the most powerful beings in this omniverse. Has that guy gone crazy? Didn't he see the power radiating from the guardian of everything? One of the kings of everything said, watching the so-called fight, "Did that guy seriously dare to insult the guardian? That's unforgivable," shouted an angry Chafali. The Saiyan emerging from the rubble of a planet said, "Seriously, were those your best attacks? How pathetic. And now you've lost your mind just because you realized you were going to die." The Saiyan let out a sigh of disappointment upon seeing how low an enemy had fallen. Zai, who was still laughing like a psychopath, was about to attack the Saiyan again. But when the attack was centimeters away from the Saiyan's face, he disappeared from everyone's sight. What? Where the fuck do I know? He couldn't finish when he received a blow that broke all his rib bones and made his entire stomach explode. Zai vomited a large amount of blood along with being left on the ground sore from the blow. Don't think this is over. Goku kept on and on hitting Zai's body, further disfiguring it. Come on, what happened to all that energy you had? Or is it that you can't go on anymore? the Saiyan said as a demonic smile could be seen on his face. Zai could no longer say anything. Her body, her face, her arms, and her legs were shattered. Large amounts of blood were coming out of his slaughtered body. Goku, seeing that he didn't say anything, just looked at Zai with boredom, but out of nowhere he remembered something. "If I remember correctly, I heard that you can absorb people's power, right?" said Goku as he crouched down to look at the beaten Zai. Zai, upon hearing what the Saiyan said, began to sweat from fear. "Let's see how much energy you can withstand," said the Saiyan while grabbing Zai by the face. Goku began giving an unimaginable amount of power to Zai, to the point that it made Zai explode from so much power. Zai was now just a gigantic pool of blood, bones, and flesh. And to finish, "I will eliminate you from all existence with a technique that surpasses the elimination of kings and gods altogether." Goku raised his hand and spoke the following words. "Before the creation of all that is known comes total destruction. Original Haki. Since some prefer original Haki, use your imagination and put it when this attack is mentioned." At that moment, Zai was erased from all known existences and realities. No one said anything. Everyone was more than surprised at how the Saiyan had humiliated, massacred, and eliminated the being that no one could stand against. Not even the all-powerful king of his sector could prevail against him. "That insect has become too strong, but that won't stop me," Vegeta said angrily and with determination to surpass a being who was in another league. Everyone present began to stand up upon seeing that it was all over. "Is everything over?" asked one of the kings of everything. "It seems so," replied one of the kings of everything. The kings of everything were relieved that it was over, but they remembered one thing. "It's true, we are facing the guardian of everything." One of the kings present shouted, and everyone, upon hearing that, quickly knelt in front of the Saiyan as a sign of respect. The only one who did not kneel was the king, the proudest of the whole sector. "I will not kneel before an insect," Vegeta said firmly. Upon hearing that, Goku could only start laughing and say, "Ha ha ha, as bad-tempered as ever, Vegeta," the Saiyan said while looking at Vegeta. "What did you say, insect?" Vegeta shouted angrily. Goku started laughing more when he saw how Vegeta reacted. "It's good to be back," the Saiyan thought, only to be interrupted by someone shortly after. "Excuse me," said a king of everything. Goku stopped laughing and fixed his gaze on the king of everything who called him. "What happened?" asked the Saiyan seriously. "If it's not too much trouble, I wanted to ask if you really are the true guardian of everything." The kings of everything, upon hearing the question, wondered whether the person was stupid or had no fear of dying. But still, everyone focused their attention on what the Saiyan was going to say. "Of course I do, or don't you believe me?" said a smiling Goku. "I do believe you, but I was just asking because you never appeared in all these millions of years since we were informed that there was a guardian of everything," said the king, completely scared upon seeing the looks from the other kings. Goku was shocked upon hearing that. "Seriously, millions of years passed? I thought that guy was just saying that because of the frustration he felt. So much time has passed and you're still just as idiot, Kakarot," Vegeta shouted at his rival. Goku could only laugh nervously upon hearing that. "But I have to admit, it's good to see you again, Kakarot." "Vegeta, did you just?" But Goku was interrupted by a shout from Vegeta. And so the two of them began to argue, but they were quickly interrupted by the king of everything from the last time. "Excuse me again, but do you know the king of everything, Vegeta?" I asked the king of everything. "Well, yes, he is one of my best friends and an eternal rival for life," said the Saiyan. "When were we friends, Kakarot?" asked Vegeta with a look of "I need explanations." Goku was going to say it, but he was quickly silenced by Vegeta. "Don't say it," Vegeta shouted. Everyone present had a drop of sweat on their heads, seeing how the most powerful king of their sector was arguing with the guardian of everything. And after a while, everyone went back to their multiverses, first thanking and saying goodbye to the Saiyan. Now we could see the Saiyan walking alongside Vegeta towards the two blue balls. "Wow, you never change, Vegeta. You still hold on to your great pride after all this time," Goku said while smiling. "Shut up, insect," said the Prince of the Saiyans. "Excuse me, Vegeta, but why are we going to where those girls are?" I asked curiously the Saiyan. "They are going to be queens of everything, and I was tasked with training them so that they can gain enough power and knowledge to rule a multiverse." Vegeta said, a little proud of having been chosen, but also a bit annoyed about having to take care of those brats. "What a surprise! I didn't know you became a master," the Saiyan said, a little surprised. Meanwhile, the girls were getting nervous, seeing how their teacher was bringing a living legend towards them. "What do I do? What do I do?" Miku thought as she looked all around everywhere. Meanwhile, Chafali didn't say anything, but was also nervous. Goku and Vegeta were already in front of the two girls. "Why are you like this, brats?" Vegeta asked his students upon seeing that they were nervous. Chafali was going to say something, but a certain present Saiyan interrupted. "Wow, Vegeta, up close your disciples are really beautiful," said a smiling Saiyan without knowing the consequences of what he said. When the two girls heard that, they began to blush to the point of fainting with smoke coming out of their heads. "See what you've done, Kakarot!" shouted an angry Vegeta at his rival. Goku, who didn't know what he had done, said, "And what did I do, Vegeta?" After Vegeta scolded the Saiyan, they took the two girls to Vegeta's palace. Then time skipped. We could see the two Saiyans in the palace. "Wow, your palace is beautiful, Vegeta," Goku said, surprised. Vegeta smiled at the comment, but quickly replied, "Well, Kakarot, leave those two in their beds." Thus, Vegeta pointed to the place where the...
This way, Vegeta pointed out the place where the rooms were. Goku nodded, and so the Saiyan left the two girls in their beds and then went to where Vegeta's throne was. "I've already put them to bed, so what do we do now?" said Goku, excited to know what they would do next. But quickly his excitement went to the ground upon hearing the following words. "We won't do anything, Kakarot." "I have to do my work as king of everything," said Vegeta. "And what is your job as king of everything, Vegeta?" A curious Goku asks. "Are you stupid or are you pretending, Kakarot?" Obviously, the job of an Omni King is to watch over and maintain balance in a multiverse. Vegeta said. "You sure do take care of your multiverse, Vegeta, but tell me one thing. Does this multiverse have gods of destruction like in the Little Zen's multiverse?" Goku asked a little excited, since he hadn't fought in a long time. Yes, there are gods of destruction, or rather, in all the multiverses there are gods of destruction. Vegeta said it in a way that made it seem very obvious what he had just said. "And are they all strong?" I ask, a very excited Goku. "They are strong, but they don't compare to your current level, if you are planning to fight them." Goku, upon hearing what his rival said, was disappointed, but he remembered something he wanted to do. "Hey Vegeta, what if we have a fight like in the old days?" A Saiyan said in a challenging manner. Vegeta, upon hearing that, just smiled and said, "I can do my work later. My pride will not allow me to ignore this," said Vegeta while staring at the Saiyan intently. Two auras could be seen around them. Something big was about to begin. But Goku remembered something very important. "Vegeta, we're forgetting that we can't fight, or else we'll destroy everything," the Saiyan said disappointedly. "You don't have to worry about that, Kakarot. I have a training area that can withstand the fight without any problems," Vegeta said. "So, what are we waiting for? Let's go." But before Goku could run out of the place, Vegeta stopped him. But before that, Vegeta looked at the Saiyan's hair. Goku, not knowing why he stopped him, asked, "What happened, Vegeta? Are we not going to have our showdown?" But it was none of that. "Don't get confused, Kakarot. It's not that we aren't going to have our fight. But I would like to know why you have Ultra Instinct activated," Vegeta asked while still looking at the Saiyan's hair. When Goku heard that, he just started laughing and said, "Well, I like having him in base form now." Vegeta, upon hearing that, said, "Don't come at me with that, Kakarot. Deactivate it already. Or do you want to have the advantage from the start?" Okay, Vegeta, I will deactivate it already," said Goku, thinking that Vegeta was a killjoy. And so the two Saiyans went to the training room. Little while later, the two girls were waking up. "What happened?" said a confused and worried Chithali. "I don't know, sister," said Miku, confused and dizzy. "What happened to Zai?
And where is Master Vegeta? But when she said that, she noticed that she was in her room. Sister, what do we do in our room? Asked a still dizzy Miku. I don't know, but we need to go find Master Vegeta and ask him about what happened, said Chithali, grabbing her sister. So the two ran towards Master's throne, but they didn't find him there. Note, the two girls had amnesia. Where could Master Vegeta be? Chithali asked, still worried. While Miku got more dizzy because of her sister. Maybe she should be in the training area. After all, that place makes it so you can't feel the presence of the people inside, said Miku without knowing what she was saying. Chithali, upon hearing that, responded, Good idea, but I hope it's in that place. The two went to the training area, only to find massive destruction. What the heck happened here? Said a surprised Miku. The place is a complete mess, shouted Chithali, also surprised. But suddenly, the two girls fell to the ground from the immense pressure released by two people. Damned insect. It was the only thing Vegeta could say before being trampled by the Saiyan. And so, a scene that the two girls never thought they would see was happening right before their eyes. His teacher was being humiliated in a very brutal way. What happened, Vegeta? Didn't you want me to take me seriously? Damn it, not even with Super Saiyan Blue Phase 4 can I stand up to him. What kind of training did you have, Kakarot? Thought the Prince of the Saiyans. Note, the two girls also have their tail back, thanks to a wish he made a long time ago. What the hell is happening? The two scared blue girls said, still unable to get up due to the pressure. Goku threw Vegeta into the sky, and with a single kick, shattered all the bones in the prince's abdomen. Come on, Vegeta, you haven't even made me go Super Saiyan, Goku said while showing a smile, a not very nice smile. Don't mess with me, insects. I'll show you who's the strongest here. Vegeta suddenly transformed into Super Saiyan Omega. Goku just smiled when he saw that it was getting interesting. Meanwhile, the two girls tried to get up. What kind of monster is fighting Master Vegeta to push him to that point? Said a Miku, not looking properly at the Saiyan. I don't know, but it's someone who gives off a very calm and relaxing aura, said a Chithali, trying to see the two Saiyans. But it was useless, since the two Saiyans moved too fast, and both were too far from them. A while later, the fight was over, and the winner was obviously the guardian of everything by a wide margin. Damned insect, you had to leave me at the brink of death, Vegeta shouted in fury, while Goku just laughed nervously. You can't blame me, Vegeta. You wanted me to get serious in the fight. You should know very well that I became very strong. The Saiyan was making an excuse for leaving Vegeta nearly dead. Well, someday I will, but Vegeta was interrupted by the sound of a door hitting and two voices that could be heard. Is Master Vegeta okay? The two blue-haired girls asked very worriedly. It seems he has already woken up. And who are you? Asked Miku. Well, but the Saiyan couldn't finish as he was interrupted by the other blue-haired girl. You seem familiar because of those clothes, but for some strange reason I don't remember who had them, said Chithali with a question mark above her head. Goku was going to say who he was, but was interrupted again. What? Chithali shouted in surprise. What happened, sister? Master Vegeta was defeated and humiliated by that guy, Chithali said, pointing at the Saiyan. Miku, hearing that, was surprised. And so, the two girls approached the Saiyan to find out who could have defeated their master. Who are you? The two girls asked the Saiyan with a serious look. Goku had a drop of sweat on his forehead due to the attitude of the two. Wow, Kakarot, it seems they already hate you, said Vegeta while laughing a little. The two, upon hearing their master call the Saiyan, became nervous as they remembered that name very well. And at that moment, they remembered everything. He is the guardian of everything, the two girls shouted in surprise. Goku and Vegeta covered their ears because of the scream the girls let out. Shut up already, brats. After a while, the two calmed down and apologized to the Saiyan. Forgive us for our rudeness, Lord Goku, the two girls said, tilting their heads. You don't have to apologize for that. Anyway, when they saw me, I was in the Ultra Instinct state. So it was obvious that they didn't recognize me at first, Goku said with a warm smile. That smile from the Saiyan cheered up the two girls and also made them blush a little. And by the way, you can just call me Goku without any kind of prefixes. As you say, I mean Goku, said a nervous Miku. Goku started laughing at the girl's reaction. Now that she has introduced herself, it's our turn to introduce ourselves. Chithali spoke. Goku nodded at what was said. My name is Miku. And my name is Chithali. And we are both daughters of God. But someone interrupted the presentation of the two blue girls. They are daughters of the gods of everything from Sector 15. Vegeta said to avoid all that drama. Wow, and to think that you are training them, said a surprised Goku. You are mean, Master Vegeta. We wanted to tell you that, said an angry Chithali. Right, Chithali supported her sister. Silence, brats, otherwise you won't be strong. But Vegeta was interrupted by his rival. Vegeta, Goku said calmly. And now what do you want, insect? The prince asked, a little angry. Nothing. A while later. On the training sand. The two girls were getting ready for the battle. Meanwhile, the Saiyan just smiled. Have you finished warming up? Goku asked, calmly looking at the two blue-haired girls. Yes, the two said seriously. So, let's start this confrontation. End.
The fight began. The two girls gave it their all in the battle, punches, kicks, and attacks from every direction. But the Saiyan dodged all those attacks as if it were just child's play. Which would be funny to many, since those attacks could easily kill gods of destruction. Let's go, girls. I hope you can at least land a single hit on me, said the Saiyan in a very relaxed manner. The two blue-haired girls thought that the Saiyan was challenging them, which made them very angry to see that they were being underestimated. Author's note. The two of them do not like being underestimated at all. But they couldn't blame him, since if they made him serious, they could cause their own deaths. And so the fight continued while Vegeta was watching the battle from afar, thinking about a few things. That insect has become very strong, to the point where he could defeat me without even having to use much of his power. Vegeta knew there was a huge difference in power, but out of pride, he wasn't going to let that slide. Damn it, how I wish that insect would stop getting stronger every time I think I've already surpassed him. And even worse, what will be the damn limit of that insect, thought the Prince of the Saiyans to himself. Meanwhile in the fight, Goku was dodging each of the girls' attacks with great ease. It's really very strong, we haven't even been able to touch it, said a tired Miku, seeing that they could do nothing. I think the same, sister, but if it weren't so, then he wouldn't be considered the person above all the gods, said Thali, staring intently at the Saiyan. Goku just smiled as he watched the two girls struggling to land a simple hit. Don't just stand there, or have you already gotten tired of me starting my counterattack? The Saiyan said mockingly. Miku and Thali got a little angry seeing how the Saiyan was mocking them. We can still fight, and we will not give up until we finish you off, the two blue-haired girls shouted. Goku, upon hearing that, gave a big smile upon seeing the spirits of the two girls, but the next thing the Saiyan did confused everyone. Ha 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 ha. The Saiyan started laughing. Miku and Thali were left with faces of not understanding what happened. Why are you laughing? Asked a very confused Miku. Are you perhaps laughing at what we said? Asked a slightly angry Thali. What? Why are you saying that, sister? I asked Miku about her sister. Isn't it obvious, she's laughing at what we said. He thinks that what we said is just nonsense, said an angry Thali. But Goku said something before something bad happens and Vegeta's palace is destroyed. It's not because of that, said the Saiyan as he was already stopping laughing. Then why were you laughing? Thali said it even if she couldn't believe it. When Goku saw that he couldn't convince the girls, he had no choice but to say it. Well, the reason I was laughing was, because it reminded me of how I used to tell myself that when fighting. All those times I told myself to get up and keep fighting. The two blue-haired girls, not having had life or death battles, didn't know what the Saiyan was talking about. What do you mean, Goku? Asked Miku, curious. You'll understand in the future, said Goku, smiling. You are really mean, just like Master Vegeta, said Thali with a cute pout. He. The Saiyan laughed at the childish pout Thali was making. Am I really as bad as Vegeta? He wondered afterward, the Saiyan scratching his head and looking at Vegeta. Vegeta, upon seeing that they started talking, got angry when he saw that the fight was not being taken seriously. So, are you going to fight or just keep talking? The prince said a little angrily. Sorry, Vegeta, but these girls made me remember some nostalgic things. Goku said with a smile, stop remembering unnecessary things, and finish this once and for all, Kakarot. I gave them a little time thinking they wouldn't take that long, since those brats have to continue with their training. Said Vegeta while looking seriously at his opponent. Okay Vegeta, I'll finish this. Goku said in a bored way. You better, insect. Vegeta said, you have no mercy, Master Vegeta. Thali said, I would prefer Goku to train us instead of you. True, at least Goku is kinder and more affectionate than you. Miku, upon saying that, turned as red as a tomato. And now what happened, sister, said a confused Thali as she looked at her sister. No, it's nothing. Miku said, whispering out of embarrassment. Thali couldn't hear her sister, but she didn't pay it any more attention and began to speak. Well, as we were saying, you are the worst. The girl couldn't finish as she felt a sphere of energy pass by her face at great speed. Miku and Thali, upon seeing who did it, started to get scared and tremble with fear at seeing a Vegeta with silver eyes and a deadly look. Say it again if you dare, insect. Vegeta said, very angry, forming another key sphere. The girls, upon hearing that, started running for their lives. While Goku watched that with a drop of sweat, it seems this happens very often. I hope the girls don't die while Vegeta is their teacher. The Saiyan thought. A while after Vegeta had punished his student for what was said. Miku and Thali were suffering from the brutal training their master was giving them. Let's go, you pair of turtles. Or do you want to train with me? Both girls were already at their limit, but Vegeta was more aggressive than usual, and only the two blue-haired girls could say that they couldn't take it anymore. Don't mess with me, you're at your limit, smash it like the warriors you are. Break through that damn limit. Goku, seeing that, could only say, you better let them rest for a little while, Vegeta, don't give me orders, insect. They have to continue their training and stop complaining. Vegeta shouted to silence his rival. Goku remained silent, only fixing his gaze on the two girls who were about to faint from exhaustion. I'm sorry, Vegeta, but they need to rest, Goku thought as he looked at Vegeta. The Saiyan gave a serious look and, with an authoritative voice, said, you know who you are disrespecting, right? Even if we are friends, acquaintances, or rivals, that doesn't change the fact that you are disrespecting someone above you. Vegeta, upon hearing that, saw how Goku's eyes turned an intense silver. An intimidating aura surrounded the Saiyan completely, and his gaze became even more serious. Vegeta's instinct told him that any word he said would cost him his life. What is happening to me? I feel insignificant in front of Kakarot. Could this be fear? Vegeta wondered to himself as he looked at the Saiyan. Impossible. This damn insect is making the prince of the Saiyans, the king of the most powerful being in Sector 18, be afraid. Vegeta didn't know what to think at this point, but Goku's voice could be heard again. So Vegeta, will you do as I say, or do you want to see your miserable existence disappear, along with this entire sector? The last thing the Saiyan said made him put on a psychopathic smile, and Vegeta, although he didn't want to show it, was scared to death upon hearing that. And as if by magic, Vegeta said, I'll let them rest as much as they want. Goku smiled upon hearing that, and in an instant, he changed his serious attitude to his typical cheerful and carefree demeanor. Aha, Vegeta, that look on your face is priceless. Vegeta, who was still a little scared, reacted immediately to what was said. Kakarot, is it really you? I asked Vegeta. Yes, why? Said Goku, not knowing why Vegeta asked that. So Vegeta punched the Saiyan's head with a fist. Ouch. Why are you hitting me, Vegeta? Goku said while rubbing his head. That's what happens when you make fun of the prince of the Saiyans, Vegeta shouted, forgetting what had happened. Well, I'll tell the two girls that they can rest for today. Goku said happily to the two girls, as you wish, Kakarot, Vegeta said before leaving the place. I think Vegeta hates me more, but it's a small price to pay, thought Goku as he looked at Vegeta. But suddenly two girls arrived where the Saiyan was. What happened to Master Vegeta? Asked a tired Miku. Why did Master Vegeta leave all of a sudden? I also asked a tired Thali. Nothing happened to her, she just said she was going to rest a bit and that you could have the day off. Goku said while showing a smile. The two girls started to celebrate upon seeing that they no longer had to suffer for the rest of the day. I'll take a nice shower once I get out of these heavy clothes, said Thali as she walked away. I'll go with you, I also want to enjoy a nice shower after that hellish training. Miku said to go with her sister. So the two of them quickly left the place, leaving the Scion alone. Hahaha, those two are really funny, they remind me of myself back then. The Scion started looking at the ceiling of the place, before speaking. I think I can no longer be the same as I was a long time ago. After all, I have changed. Goku looked at himself when he said that. A few minutes later, Goku and Vegeta were talking about anything, while the two girls were enjoying a relaxing shower in a gigantic bathtub. So you're telling me that in your universes there are people with powers? Goku asked, a bit excited. Yes, but there are also universes where people don't have powers, although most of the ones I've seen are planets without many interesting things, Vegeta said while checking his universes. But isn't there any mortal who can give me a good fight? Goku asks, very curious. Don't be stupid, Kakarot, in this multiverse there is no race that has been able to fight against the gods of destruction. And knowing that, do you think there will be anyone who can fight against you? Said Vegeta, a little angry, seeing that his rival didn't understand the difference in power. Okay Vegeta, I get it, but I would have liked to be able to fight strong people, said Goku, disappointed. Well, sadly in this multiverse there is no one to fight against you. Note, Vegeta has 20 universes in his multiverse. And what if I fight against a god of destruction? Said the Scion as if he had the best idea in the world. But a Scion prince, upon hearing that, said, did you forget what I said a few hours ago, you damn insect? Vegeta said, about to remind Goku in a not very friendly way. Upon hearing that and seeing Vegeta's reaction, Goku began to get nervous and, a little scared, tried to say something to get out of that situation. Wow, Vegeta, it seems I sweated a lot today, maybe because of the fight I had with the girls, so I better take a shower. Goku said a little nervously, so, see you, Vegeta, goodbye. Shouted the Scion as he started to run. Vegeta, upon hearing that, got even angrier seeing that the Scion was lying, but he quickly set that aside and began to think of something. That insect, ever since he came out, all he wants to do is fight. I wonder how the omniversal god chose that idiot as the guardian of everything, but thinking so much about his rival, he remembered the way he ran off. Wait a second, could it be that Kakarot ran off in the direction where the two little girls are bathing right now? A silence formed in Vegeta's mind, but he quickly reacted. Damn it, Kakarot, I hope you don't get the wrong bathroom, the prince shouted in his thoughts. Meanwhile with the Scion, Goku had arrived at one of the bathrooms that was in the entire palace. Wow, Vegeta really goes overboard with all the things in his palace, he even has this bathroom full of those shiny stones. Well, since I'm here, I'm going to take a nice and refreshing shower. Said the Scion before snapping his fingers and watching as his clothes changed into just a towel covering the most important parts. Meanwhile with the two blue movies, both of them were in a gigantic bathtub with hot water. It looked more like a giant jacuzzi. The two were relaxing to the fullest. After everything they had to train for, Miku started thinking about things and remembered what she said that time with Master Vegeta. She turned red like a tomato. Thali, seeing her sister like that, asked, what's wrong, sister? When Miku heard the question, she tried to compose herself and answer, but it was noticeable that she was nervous. Nothing's wrong, sister. Thali knew he was lying but didn't want to say anything more, and simply wanted to relax in the hot water. Miku, whose blush hadn't yet faded from her face, wanted to ask her sister something. Sister, what do you like about Son Goku? Thali made a confused face. She didn't understand why her sister would suddenly ask that. Why do you ask that all of a sudden, sister? Miku just replied with just answer the question. Thali, with no other option, began to speak. Well, what I like about him is that he is a very kind, innocent, caring, understanding person, and he is not arrogant at all like a damn person I know. The last thing the girl said was with annoyance. When Miku heard the last thing, she understood why, and wanted to say something, but she saw how her sister's face was as red as blood. What happened, sister? Asked Miku. Thali didn't respond, and in her mind, she could only think about what was said a moment ago. Miku, seeing that her sister didn't respond, was going to yell something at her, but she couldn't say anything upon hearing a door open. Wow! The bathtub is huge. The Scion shouted, looking around everywhere, but when Goku looked down, he noticed that two people were there. Oh, hi Miku, and hi Thali, both of them, upon seeing the Scion, started blushing intensely with embarrassment and also began covering themselves with towels. What do you, here, Goku, said an extremely embarrassed Miku. The scion, very confused and like an innocent person, said, "Am I only here to take a bath? Is there a problem?" Both of them, upon hearing that, got angry with the scion, and Thali said, "If there is a problem and the problem is, why do you have to bathe in this bathroom?" "Well, it's the first bathroom I found in this huge palace." When the scion said that, and as if by magic, the towel that the scion had around his waist fell, causing the two girls to see something that would never leave their minds. Miku and Chafli freaked out when they saw the scion's member, and they started putting their hands over their faces to avoid seeing such an elephant. "Oops, I think I dropped the towels," he said, the scion, while laughing a little and scratching his head, but the moment was interrupted by a person who arrived to save the two blue-haired girls. "Kakarot!" the prince shouted at the top of his lungs. Upon hearing Vegeta, Goku made a confused face, not knowing what he had come for. "What are you doing in this bathroom, insect? Of all the bathrooms, you had to choose this one," Vegeta said that while covering his eyes with one hand so he wouldn't see the girls. Goku, seeing how his rival got up out of nowhere, remembered that he couldn't bathe with women who weren't his wives. "Yups, I think I got the wrong bath, Vegeta, he. The scion said nervously, "You're a complete blockhead, Kakarot." Vegeta grabbed the scion by the ear to quickly get him out of that bathroom. And that's how Vegeta got Goku out of the bathroom, leaving two girls very embarrassed and traumatized by what happened. That's what happens in a day for everyone. The next day, Vegeta was training, while the two girls talked about trivial things and a bit about what happened the previous day. But Goku was the only one doing something different, that he was completely lost. "Darn, Vegeta's palace is so big that I've gotten lost 100 times in just 1 minute. At least I can sense the presence of the two girls to teleport to them, and ask them where Vegeta is." So Goku teleported to where the two girls were. "Hello girls," said the scion cheerfully upon seeing that he was finally not lost. Miku and Thali were startled by Goku's sudden appearance. "Oops, sorry for scaring you girls, but I had no other choice since I was lost," Goku said as he gave a nervous smile with his eyes closed and scratched his head, making him look cute to the eyes of many. But the two girls couldn't see him because their gaze was in another direction. "Heavens, you should at least warn us before appearing out of nowhere." Miku said, he, sorry, I forgot to tell you, next time I will," Goku said while giving another tender smile. "So you only teleported here because you were lost?" Thali asked. "Well yes, since I don't know the places in this immense palace very well." The two of them, upon hearing the answer, understood it. They too got very lost at the beginning when they were sent to train with Master Vegeta. "But I have a question. Why don't you look at me?" The two blue-eyed girls, upon hearing that, became nervous. They didn't want to admit that it was about what happened yesterday that he couldn't see. They tried to find an excuse, but they didn't have to look for one when they heard the following: "Well, it doesn't matter, I still have to go with Vegeta." Both of them, upon hearing what the scion said, felt relieved to see that they were safe, not knowing that he had read their thoughts. "Well, goodbye girls," said Goku before using teleportation again, this time to go to where Vegeta was. Miku and Thali, seeing that the scion had already left, put their hands on their faces out of embarrassment. They couldn't forget it. Narrator, poor things. They missed some of the scion's rather lively expressions. Scene change, Vegeta was doing push-ups, while talking to himself. "I am going to surpass that damn Kakarot, no matter what it costs me." But out of nowhere, Vegeta stopped as he felt someone arrive. "Hello Vegeta," Goku said casually. Vegeta got up from the ground and crossed his arms before asking, "And what do you want now, Kakarot?" Vegeta said, "Well, I came to ask you if you had a map of this place," the scion asked with a drop of sweat. Vegeta, upon hearing such stupidity, said, "Don't tell me you got lost." The place fell into total silence. Vegeta hit his face when he realized he was right. "I can't believe you're a supreme god with how stupid you are, Kakarot." Goku just laughed nervously, "And to answer your absurd question, we don't have any map of my palace." Vegeta said dryly, "Can't you make me one so I don't get lost again?" the scion asked, not knowing something. "Are you an idiot or are you pretending to be, you yourself?" Vegeta stopped at that moment and then thought about something. It's true, Kakarot could make the map without any problem with his powers, but it seems he forgot that this would be the perfect moment for him to show me his power in exchange for that stupid map. Vegeta thought with a smile on his face. Seeing that Vegeta did not respond, Goku was about to think of something, but amusingly, just at that moment, Vegeta spoke. Kakarot, if you show me all your power, I will give you a map of my palace, said Vegeta while smiling victoriously. Goku, upon hearing the proposal, thought for a few seconds, then said okay, but it's better if it's outside, I'm sure this place wouldn't withstand my power. Goku spoke seriously. Vegeta understood what his rival meant and said that he was going to put a barrier in the universes so that the Saiyan would not cause lethal damage. Goku agreed, and so the two of them went outside. A little while later, Vegeta was setting up the barrier in the universes, but two girls arrived where he was. What are you doing, Master Vegeta? One of them asked. Well, putting a bit of protection so that this insect doesn't destroy my universes, Vegeta said, pointing at Goku, but the two, upon hearing what their master said and seeing that the Saiyan was standing there with a cheerful smile, they quickly turned around with red faces. And now what's wrong with you insects? Said Vegeta with a face that seemed to say, what the hell is wrong with you? Nothing, Master Vegeta. Vegeta, upon seeing those reactions, immediately understood what was happening with them. And with an expression of pure evil, he said, if you don't want to see Kakarot, then I will tell him if you don't. The two, upon hearing that, looked at Vegeta with a face that said, don't do it, Master Vegeta, then look him in the face and stop being ashamed of having seen the Saiyan pride. Vegeta shouted at 2 o'clock. Vegeta had no mercy on his poor students, they had no other choice but to do it, even though it cost them. Narrator, and that's how you solve a trauma, just be Vegeta. After the girls overcame their traumas, Vegeta explained to them what they were doing. The two were very excited to know that they were going to witness the power of the Saiyan. Something that was beyond their imagination. The excitement was so great that they began to jump. Seeing that, Goku just laughed and Vegeta only gave a small smile. Narrator, wow, it seems Vegeta does have a little bit of mercy with the two blue-haired girls. Time jump. Vegeta has already finished setting up the barriers in the universes. Alright Kakarot, you can start releasing your power. Goku was very far from the three of them so as not to cause them any harm. Okay. The Saiyan shouted to announce that he was about to start. This is going to be epic, no, better than epic, this is going to be ultra mega epic, said Miku excitedly. Likewise, sister. Thali said simply, but the truth is that she was also very excited. Well, let's start with this, said the prepared Saiyan. Goku began to unleash a power out of this world, a deadly power that alarmed all the races of the multiverse. The place began to shake non-stop, causing none of those present to be able to stand. Along with that, all the universes could feel themselves being crushed by the power of a single being. Damn, how the hell his power is so great, it's as if he were in a totally different league, said Vegeta while imagining all the gods and the omniversal god. Goku kept on and on releasing power to the point of breaking reality itself. All of this was being watched by a person in a place very, very far away. Interesting. Will Son Goku at least be able to show a bit of his power before breaking all the realities and dimensions of this omniverse? Said the mysterious person while laughing psychotically. The Saiyan released so much power that he created a crater of astral levels in the area. The pressure was now throughout the entire omniverse. No one could move with ease. Goku reached a point where the dimensions of that multiverse collapsed under the excessive release of power. And alongside it, thousands of dimensional craters opened up throughout the area. The craters were covering the sky and ground as if they had no end. Kakarot, stop. Damn it, the insect won't listen to me. Note, Vegeta wasn't worried about Goku, but rather about his universe, and because if this continued, it was going to destroy the entire sector. Goku couldn't hear him while he was releasing power. The Saiyan reached such a level of power that he transformed into Super Saiyan Phase 3, and that was only the spark that caused the dimensional craters to grow to colossal sizes, absorbing Goku without leaving any trace of him. Kakarot. It was the last thing Vegeta could say before watching his rival being swallowed by one of those dimensional craters. Some time had passed, everything had calmed down, and the dimensions returned to their normal state. Vegeta had to explain to some of his gods of destruction what had happened. While two girls were a little worried about the Saiyan, Master Vegeta, what happened to Goku? The two girls asked, very worried. Vegeta, seeing them, responded like this: most likely he is in one of my universes, or in one of his dimensions. Note, the dimensional craters that form in your multiverses can only take a person to some dimension or universe within that multiverse. So what do we do here? Shall we go look for him? I shouted Miku, unable to wait any longer. I'm sorry, but right now it's their training time, and under no circumstances are they going to skip it. Vegeta said simply, way off. The two girls screamed, Master Vegeta, right now finding Goku is more important than training. Thali said very angrily to her teacher, Vegeta, seeing how they reacted, could only say, calm down, remember that Kakarot is a supreme god, no one in my entire multiverse can do anything to him. Vegeta said calmly, yes, but, the girl couldn't finish speaking as she was interrupted by Vegeta. He will be fine, after all, he is a supreme god. But searching for Kakarot across all the planets will take a long time if he doesn't unleash his power. Miku and Thali, with no other choice, had to accept what their master said. If they finish the training quickly, we will go to get him right away. The two girls, upon hearing that, flew quickly to the palace to change. Vegeta, seeing that, began to think about his rival. I hope that insect doesn't cause problems in whatever universe or dimension it is in. I will kill him if he dares to. Vegeta was interrupted by a voice calling him. Master Vegeta, hurry up. Thali spoke. Vegeta just watched as the girls were already ready. Let's start the training now. Miku screamed. Vegeta, seeing how the two blue-haired girls were, could only think of one thing. It seems they already have a lot of affection for you, Kakarot. After all, you are a person who has been able to achieve even the impossible. Vegeta thought as he walked toward the place where the girls were. The end.
Somewhere in the dimensional world. Oh no, I'm lost. The Saiyan shouted in worry, holding his head with both hands. Goku didn't know what to do at that moment and thought, what do I do now? The Saiyan started looking all around to see if there was a way out. But the Saiyan couldn't find anything. Darn it! The Saiyan shouted in desperation, and scolded himself mentally for his stupidity. I knew it was a bad idea to release 10% of my power as a Super Saiyan. Now I have to wait for a dimensional hole to open or... At that moment, the Saiyan remembered that he had a very important ability in case something like this happened. It's true. I have the ability to open dimensional holes, although I never tried it since I couldn't use it in that place. But then he got worried when he thought about something. I hope I reach where Vegeta is, and not some unknown place. When Goku said that, he thought he was going to a world where there was a red-haired girl who harassed him all the time, doing it along with her demon clan. When the Saiyan thought about that, he felt a small shiver down his spine. And with a little fear, he said, I hope it's not that world, for all that you love, omniversal God. After getting over the previous thought, Goku snapped his fingers, and out of nowhere a dimensional portal appeared. Please, let this portal take me to where Vegeta is, said a Saiyan, worried and nervous about what might happen. And so Goku entered the dimensional portal, not knowing which world he was going to. Meanwhile, on another planet similar to Earth, a girl with pink hair could be seen, hugging a particular boy. Rito, let's have fun at the mall, said the pink-haired girl while still hugging the boy. We can't, classes aren't over yet. And also, stop hugging me. The girl let go of him, just to say, then after classes. Heavens, you're so carefree, Lala, Rito said with a face full of suffering. Lala ignored the boy's suffering and said excitedly, so, shall we go? No. Absolutely not. Rito shouted angrily at Lala. Why, Rito? Lala said, not knowing why Rito was angry. Rito looked at Lala with eyes that said not to play innocent. But that wasn't enough, because Rito shouted the following with great anger. Did you forget what happened last time we went? Lala, upon hearing that, remembered what had happened, and with an amused smile she said, but that was just a little accident. Rito, upon hearing what Lala said, began to wonder whether she was truly a senseless idiot, or just plain stupidity. But he quickly stopped thinking about it, since he still hadn't responded to the Devolukian princess and wasn't about to do so politely. You're joking. You destroyed half the shopping mall with just one hit. And all over a stuffed animal that said Life Guardian Protector and stuff like that. Lala, hearing what happened and seeing how her fiancé was complaining about what he did, could only laugh nervously. He. After saying all that, Rito was finally able to calm down and apologized, in his own way. It's true that you are the daughter of the god of destruction, and that you are also a fan of that so-called guardian of everything, but you didn't have to use so much force over a damn stuffed animal. Lala, hearing Rito's response, defended herself as best as she could. Don't blame me, Rito, it's hard to control myself, but you have to remember that I like everything with the name Guardian. Rito sighed at the girl's response, and mentally said to himself, this girl, why doesn't she just marry that so-called guardian of everything and leave me alone already? But Rito was pulled out of his thoughts by the pink-haired girl. She was telling him something very important. But Rito, remember what my father said. Flashback. Child, if you don't make my daughter happy, I will destroy your insignificant planet, and I will wipe out all your loved ones from existence. The last part the father said in a voice that made Rito wet his pants. End flashback. I think, that's what he said. Lala said with doubt, not clearly remembering what her father had said. On the other hand, Rito remembered perfectly what Lala's father had said. Since it was impossible not to feel fear when looking at the murderous gaze of a god, Rito had a scared look on his face as he remembered that, but he also had an expression of anger upon seeing that his fiancé was using his father as a threat. But what the pink-haired girl said next made him even angrier. So we're going to go, right? She said with a big smile, full of innocence. Seeing that, Rito had to swallow his pride and accept what the pink-haired girl had said. Great! But someday I will defeat your father, and then I'll never have to endure this again. Lala, upon hearing what Rito said, smiled, and then said, you know that will be impossible for you, since you are still a human, while for now, my father is a god of destruction. Everything Lala said was spoken without a trace of mercy. Rito became depressed upon hearing the cruel reality. But at least someone supported him in some way. But I will support you in everything I can, Lala said with a smile. Upon hearing that, Rito could only thank Lala, but he was still very depressed and even crying comically. But out of nowhere at that moment, the whole planet began to shake in an unimaginable way. Rito and everyone at the school were scared. What's happening? Is it an earthquake? Rito shouted, very frightened, clinging to Lala. Lala said nothing, but in her thoughts, she wondered one thing. Is this divine ki? Not only Lala could feel the divine energy, but also her younger sisters, who were at Rito's house, could feel that divine energy. Do you feel that ki, Nana? Momo asked, a little worried. Yes, I'm sorry, but this type of ki, only our family possesses it in this universe, or it's another god of destruction, or it's... When Nana was about to say the last part, she got scared thinking about that person. Momo, who heard what her sister said, also knew who she was referring to. The two quickly left the house and, at their maximum speed, went to where the divine energy was felt. Back with Lala and Rito. Lala, a little serious, grabbed Rito, and with her speed, they went out to the schoolyard. Rito was very confused about why Lala had taken him to the schoolyard. Why are we suddenly in the schoolyard, Lala? Rito said, very worried about what was happening at the moment. But Lala, trying to calm him down, answered his question. Isn't it obvious, Rito? It's to see who the person with that divine energy is, Lala said while looking at a specific place. Rito, being as clever as he is, complained about it instead of processing it. Do you think I would know about that? You never told me, Lala. Lala, hearing that, simply apologized to Rito. Oops, sorry, I forgot to tell you, Lala said while sticking out her tongue and closing one eye like a typical anime girl who forgets to mention the most important thing first. But at that moment, a portal opened in the sky, and an overwhelming pressure was felt throughout the school, or rather throughout the entire galaxy, causing the seas and planets of the entire galaxy to go out of control for a few seconds. I feel heavy, like I'm carrying a gigan. Rito didn't finish his sentence when he saw a person coming out of the portal at high speed, crashing into the schoolyard where Lala had predicted they would fall, creating a crater of colossal proportions, so huge that Lala had to carry Rito while starting to fly out of the impact area. When the planet had finally stopped shaking, and that immense pressure was no longer felt, the first thing everyone thought was, who was responsible for this massive destruction? What the heck happened, and who came out of that portal? Rito asked, worried and terrified, seeing all the damage it had caused. I don't know, Rito, but we will find out soon. But just as Lala said that, her sisters arrived. Oh, it seems my little sisters came too. One of the Lalas said, a little surprised but at the same time happy to see them. But it's Lala Nizan, and the pervert Rito? Said a surprised Nana. But just at that moment, someone's voice was heard from the crater. Oops, I didn't think a dimensional trip would be this rough, said the Scion, while looking at the mess he had caused. The pink-haired girls couldn't see who it was because a huge cloud of smoke was covering the person. Who are you? You're not a god of destruction, right? These were the questions they were trying to ask the Scion. But Goku was paying attention to other things, barely noticing that they were speaking to him. Ha? Are you talking to me? I asked Goku even while he was on the cloud of smoke. Well, who else are we asking? Nana said, a bit annoyed. Goku laughed a little upon hearing that. Hee, true, I forget that I'm the stranger here. Well, let me introduce myself. The cloud of dust was slowly disappearing, revealing only a guy with palm-shaped hair, alongside a face that reflected innocence and calm. "Hello, my name is Son Goku, but you can just call me Goku," said the Scion with a kind smile. For some strange reason, the girls blushed at the Scion's innocent smile. "He's so cute," Momo said with hearts in her eyes and a little blush. "What are you saying, Momo?" said Nana as if she didn't feel the same. "What's happening to me? Why does my heart beat so fast when I see that guy Goku?" thought Nana with spirals in her eyes from thinking about it so much. Lala didn't say anything, but she was blushing too, though a little more noticeably. "And now what happened to those girls?" thought Goku, looking at the girls with confusion. But he was quickly interrupted by someone. "Who the heck are you or what are you? It's impossible for a human to do everything you just did," said Rito, scared but trying to look brave. Narrator, I feel like killing Rito. Well, I'm a Scion who was raised on Earth. Goku said this with one hand on his chin. Scion? What kind of race is that? Rito asked, confused. A warrior race that invaded planets and evolved through fighting, Goku said as if he were a science teacher. But the two pink-haired girls, upon hearing a certain word, couldn't help but ask a question. Scion? Are you from the same race as Lord Vegeta? Answer us? That was what Momo and Nana asked the Scion, having gotten nervous upon hearing the term Scion. Since Goku didn't know why the girls reacted that way, he just said, "Wow, you guys know Vegeta," said Goku simply, while showing a smile. The pink-haired girls were in shock upon hearing the disrespect the Scion had shown. Are you crazy, or what? You disrespected the king of everything in this multiverse, shouted Nana, very worried, and starting to look around everywhere out of concern. I agree with Nana, that simple act of disrespect could make this planet, or rather this whole universe, disappear, said Momo, supporting her sister, while shivering just thinking about Vegeta's gaze. Goku was confused by what the two pink-haired girls said and just replied, but if he also disrespects me, even being known as the Gooer. The Scion couldn't finish because he was silenced by Nana, who was already very angry. Shut up. Don't you understand that it doesn't matter what rank you have, Lord Vegeta is the supreme ruler of this multiverse, it doesn't matter how much prestige you have, or what rank you hold in this multiverse. Lord Vegeta will erase you from existence just for disrespecting him or, worse, if you make him angry. Nana said this in a very serious manner, as if all of it were of utmost importance. Goku was left speechless upon hearing that, and the only thing the Scion could think was, Vegeta, what the heck have you done in your multiverse for them to be so afraid of you? But out of nowhere, Goku was pulled from his thoughts by the girl's voice. Well, you should have already understood that Lord Vegeta should not be taken lightly. Now answer the question you never answered, Nana said, referring to whether he was a Scion. Goku, understanding what Nana meant, simply replied with yes, I'm a pure-blooded Scion. Both of them were left in shock upon hearing the Scion's statement. Goku was only more confused about why there was so much surprise. Seriously, Vegeta, you have to tell me what you did to these poor girls. The Scion thought, not knowing that he would have the answer in a few moments. Momo noticed how confused Goku was when he saw them react that way. Sorry for those reactions, but we have a certain memory that makes us know how terrifying Lord Vegeta and the Scion race can be, Momo said to the confused Scion. But upon hearing that, Goku was now even more curious about the matter. Could you tell me what happened? The Scion said, very interested, while showing a calm and warm smile. Narrator, Goku knows how to use his powers. Unable to say no to that smile, Momo began to tell the story. Flashback. 3 little girls with pink hair could be seen, talking with their father about a common topic. Is there really someone stronger than you, Daddy? Said little Lala with eyes full of surprise. If there is someone stronger than me, my little one, he is known as the creator and the supreme being of this multiverse, the one who makes the gods of destruction tremble. The great king of all, Vegeta. His power is on another level, beyond my comprehension, said the father of the 3 girls with great respect and admiration toward Vegeta. But all of that went to hell with what his daughters said next. Vegetal? Could it be a giant vegetable? Asked Momo. His name is the most ridiculous of all the names I've ever heard in my life, said Nana while trying not to laugh. Vegetal. Vegetal, shouted Lala while laughing at the name. The father, upon hearing how his daughters were mocking the name of his superior, began to tremble with fear. Silence, daughters. If Lord Vegeta finds out you called him Vegetal, Jin started sweating non-stop thinking about what could happen. But he continued with what he was going to say. I could destroy this entire universe, or worse, erase us from existence without any mercy. He said the last part with a face that showed the total fear he felt towards the prince. The girls were a little surprised at how their father was acting just because someone had made fun of the name of the king of everything. Dad, is he really that bad? Momo asked, not knowing what was about to happen. Her father was going to answer, but he couldn't say anything upon hearing a voice. Well, Jin, I didn't know your daughter's little brats were this disrespectful, said the famous prince of the Scions with some anger. Sir Vegeta, shouted the one now known as Jin. In the blink of an eye, Jin knelt in front of the king of all. Please forgive my stupid daughters, Sir Vegeta, said Jin, very terrified of what might happen to them. Vegeta looked at the three girls with a deadly stare, unleashing a tremendous murderous instinct, making the little ones start to cry for their lives, knowing they could die at any moment. Their father, who was watching the scene, was just sweating more and began begging for forgiveness. Please, I beg you, Lord Vegeta, don't kill them. I will do anything so you don't hurt them. I will endure the consequences if necessary. Just, don't kill them, Jin said, on the verge of breaking down as he saw Vegeta remain silent. He didn't know if he himself could bear the death of his daughters. But he was quickly calmed upon hearing the following. I won't kill them, Jin. I know you have done a great job as the god of destruction, so I will only give you a punishment for your daughter's disrespect. Vegeta said, looking seriously at Jin. Thank you very much, Lord Vegeta. Jin shouted for joy while crying a little upon knowing that her daughters would be fine. But not everything was rosy when Vegeta said the following. Well Jin, I'll tell you your punishment right away so I don't have to tell you later. Upon hearing this, Jin closed her eyes and awaited the punishment that was about to be given to her. Jin was prepared for any kind of punishment. She didn't care if she had to die to protect her daughters. Just knowing that her daughters would be okay made her happy. But the punishment he mentioned as a scion he never expected. Take better care of your brats. The time you spend with them will be very important, Vegeta said seriously. Ha! Is that the punishment? Jin said, very surprised, still unable to believe it. Yes, any problem, Jin, Vegeta said coldly while releasing his god aura. Seeing that he had made Vegeta angry, Jin said nervously. And no, Lord Vegeta, there's no problem. Vegeta calmed down and simply said, alright, I've done what I had to do here, I'm getting out of here. Vegeta was about to leave, but was stopped by Jin. Wait, Mr. Vegeta, I would like to ask you why that punishment. If it's not too much trouble for you, of course, said Jin, sweating more as he saw that he interrupted him just as he was about to leave. Vegeta remained silent upon hearing the question. Jin was starting to get very nervous, thinking about what he had done to make the Scion angry. I had a family when I was immortal. I know what it feels like to lose someone very important in your family. I've seen my family disappear before my eyes without being able to do anything to save them, and even after millions of years, I still miss them. Vegeta said, a little melancholic as he remembered the past. Jin was surprised, and the girls were in shock upon hearing what Vegeta said. But I have to admit something, if it weren't for that damn Kakarot, I would never have had that family, Vegeta said, trying to contain his pride. Kakarot? Asked a very curious Jin. Vegeta looked at him and let out a small sigh before saying the following. Kakarot is a pure-blooded scion like me, and he is also the rival I can never surpass. The girls who were listening to the conversation from afar, out of fear, heard the word scion, and out of pure curiosity, one of them went to ask about it. But obviously, she was very scared to ask, thinking they might kill her. Still, gathering courage, she timidly went and said, A question, Mr. Vegeta. Lala was trembling with fear as she said that, on the verge of crying. But luckily, she received an answer. And what would the question be, brat? Said Vegeta, with a piercing look and a tone of coldness. Lala fell to the ground at that gaze, about to cry. Seeing that, Jin went to hug her daughter. Calm down, daughter, don't cry, Papa is here, Jin said warmly. Lala was calming down and answered Vegeta's question. What is a scion, Lord Vegeta? She was still scared, but her father gave her confidence. Alright, little rascal, I'll tell you a little story, so pay attention because I'll only say it once, Vegeta said seriously. Lala nodded her head at what was said. Alright, the scions were. And so Vegeta explained what a scion was, and all the adventures and battles he had with the scion. Nana and Momo also joined in to listen to the story. And that's all you need to know for now, said Vegeta, finishing the story.
So the strongest of you two right now is? Momo asked, curious to know. And Vegeta quickly answered. Obviously, the strongest right now is me, Vegeta said proudly. But someone contradicted Vegeta. I say it's Kakarot, shouted Lala angrily. Kakarot is just a low-class insect, he'll never be stronger than me, Vegeta said in self-defense. But Lala, upon hearing that, got angry seeing that he wouldn't admit it. But you yourself said he was number one. Little Lala became a fan of the Saiyan upon hearing about the feats he accomplished. But she only knew his name was Kakarot because Vegeta always called him that. When I said that, insect, I never said it, Vegeta said again, trying to defend himself. Yes, of course, in the stories you told, it's obvious that you are weaker than Lord Kakarot, Lala said while looking at Vegeta with hatred. Are you insulting me, you damn snot-nosed brat? Vegeta shouted angrily upon hearing that. Lala simply stuck her tongue out at Vegeta, and the prince got even angrier seeing that, and so Vegeta started chasing Lala around the castle. Everyone had a bead of sweat on their heads watching that. But someone asked Vegeta while he was chasing Lala. Now that I think about it. Lord Vegeta, where is this Kakarot guy? Is he some kind of ruler too? Momo asked, very curious to know where the Saiyan was now. Vegeta stopped chasing Lala and quickly responded. He is not entirely a king, nor entirely a god. He is currently the legendary guardian of everything of the legends. Jin was left in a state that couldn't be described by that revelation. TT the guardian of everything. Jin shouted at the top of his lungs. The guardian of everything? Is he someone important? Momo asked, not knowing who he was since she hadn't heard the story. Girl, the guardian of everything has almost the same authority as the omniversal god, and his power should be beyond our imagination, Vegeta said seriously, as it was a serious matter. The three girls heard that, and each one's reaction was different. One fainted, another was in complete shock, and the last one was very happy. Vegeta just watched the reactions in silence, while Jin still couldn't believe it. But one, a simple question, caused her father to fall into a coma and left everyone in shock. Daddy, in the future can I marry the almighty guardian? Asked a small, innocent Lala. Meanwhile, everyone screamed so loudly that it could be heard across the entire universe. Narrator, the innocence of children can surprise many. End flashback. And that's why we are very afraid of Lord Vegeta, along with discovering that the guardian of all was imprisoned, and that no one knew when he could come out, said Momo, with a finger on her chin. Goku listened to most of the story but got distracted at times to look at the world he was in. Yes, and for that reason our sister was depressed for a few days upon learning that her hero was gone, said Nana simply. But it surprises me that Lalanizan still likes the guardian of all after so much time, said Momo, curious. Well, you know, Lalanizan, from the moment she heard about the exploits of the guardian of everything, she went on to get anything related to that supreme god, said Nana, recalling those moments. Momo laughed a little remembering it too, but they were interrupted by a voice that caught both of their attention. Hey, could you call V? Lord Vegeta? I don't know where I am, hee, said Goku, laughing nervously. We can't. The only one who can communicate with Lord Vegeta is our father, the god of destruction, said Momo, unaware that she had triggered something inside the Saiyan. Your father is the god of destruction, you could ask him to have a fight with me, said Goku excitedly. You're crazy or you're an idiot. You know my father would kill you in just a second with that low power you have, Nana shouted angrily. Note, Goku lowered his power because he didn't want to destroy the entire planet with the energy he was releasing before. Goku was going to say something to explain why his level was low, but he didn't finish when he heard someone. Hey! Could you repair the yard? I'm sure it's going to take too long to fill that huge crater, Rito shouted so they could hear him. The girls were going to say that they didn't have that power, but suddenly the Saiyan snapped his fingers, and then they saw how the yard returned to its original state. Done, said the Saiyan, smiling. The girls were in shock seeing that. Who the heck are you? The two girls said, still shocked. Goku didn't respond, as he was thinking about something very important. I want to fight your father, but you don't want to call him. I'll have to convince you somehow, but how? But the Saiyan was pulled out of his thoughts by one of the sisters. She was very angry for being ignored, and with a lot of anger, she asked him again. The Saiyan was going to respond out of fear, but an idea came to his mind that could help him have a fight against the pink-haired girl's father. He, I won't tell you until I get a fight against your father, said Goku with a defiant smile. Nana, who was already tired of the Scion's nonsense, was about to shout that it was impossible for him to fight her father. But she was quickly interrupted by the person she least expected. I accept. I will call my father to tell him that someone wants to challenge him to a battle. Lala said without hesitating for a second about what she said. Are you serious, Lala Nizan? Momo asked, surprised. I'm serious, Momo. For some reason, I want to know who this person known as Son Goku is. Goku exploded with excitement upon hearing what Lala said, and suddenly the Scion grabbed Lala's hands. Goku began to thank her with great happiness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, said Goku, smiling with the happiness he felt. For a very strange reason, Lala blushed when she saw that the Scion was holding her hands. But a person who was very close noticed it and thought, is Lala blushing? Is she really not sick? Rito wondered for a few seconds before shaking his head and telling himself, but why should I worry about her if I love Haruna-chan? The best thing would be for this guy to stay with Lala so that she doesn't bother me anymore with her schemes and I can be with Haruna-chan. Rito seemed very happy at the thought of the possibility of being freed from Lala. Narrator, the creator wants to kill Rito. Meanwhile, as Rito was thinking that, Goku was still thanking Lala. Thank you. Thank you. Really, thank you so much, Lala. Unknowingly, the Scion was making the pink-haired girl blush more with each second he held her hands. This is Dash. Lala tried to say something, but her nerves were at their limit. Goku looked at the girl with a confused face and walked closer to see if she was okay. Lala now had spirals in her eyes with how close the Scion was. But with all the courage she could muster, she said, "See, could you let go of my hand, please?" Lala was looking the other way when she said that. Goku, with a confused expression, let go of the pink-haired girl's hands, and then asked, "So, when could you call your father?" The girl responded more calmly, "I can do it after CLA." But she didn't finish upon hearing a lot of people arriving at the place. "What happened here, Lala?" asked an alarmed student council president. "Are you two okay?" I asked the famous Haruna, the girl that Rito loves. But at that moment when everyone arrived at the place, they were able to see the Scion. At that moment, the girls' hearts practically exploded in their eyes, causing the Scion to have to fly away from the place along with the two pink-haired girls. The girls, seeing the Scion leave, were surprised and saddened to see their prince depart. Lala, who had stayed because she still had classes, had a lost look as she watched the Scion leave, along with a slight blush. In her mind, she wondered, why do I feel like I need him, as if he were someone very important to me? Lala wondered as she still looked at the place where the Scion had gone. The end.